Welcome to She Decides. I'm your host, Staci Swiderski. In this beautifully grounded episode, I sit down with Kim Depole, visionary interior designer, founder of NYC Depole Design, and a pioneer in creating spaces that began with the soul. With more than 30 years of experience and a client roster that spans from global CEOs to Oprah herself, Kim's design philosophy goes far beyond aesthetics. Rooted in mindfulness and inspired by her global travels, Kim reveals how aligning your home with your inner world can be a powerful act of self-expression and healing. From optimizing space with intention to designing sanctuaries that truly support how we live, work, and restore, Kim's approach helps us craft homes that don't just look beautiful, they feel like home. This episode is an invitation to turn inward and design outward from the heart. Because when she decides to honor her space, she creates a life of beauty, balance, and meaning. You know who made it. Welcome, everybody, to our next episode of She Decides. I am your host, Staci Swiderski, and I'm excited to introduce our guest today, the wonderful Kim Depole. She is the founder of Depole Design out of New York City. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's an honor for us to have you here today. So we have about a good hour or so to really get into your brain of design. And I have so many questions I want to ask you, not just about design, but about running a business as a strong female, and learn more about you today. So
Absolutely.
let's jump in.
Let's
jump
go.
in. All right. So obviously we know you've built a career centered around design over what, 30 years now?
Yes.
Is it,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Long in the tooth. Yes. Day older than water. Long time.
Love it. And so like you have centered it really around creativity and social impact even. How did that journey begin for you? And over the span of you said 30 years.
30 years. Well, I'd have to say at the very beginning, being from an artistic family, because that always sort of, plants the seed in what my interests and passions were. But I actually, my first my first career was as a creative director of an incredible accessory company. And so I did that and had a wonderful time. I burned myself out a little bit. And then I moved to Japan.
Oh, wow.
I gave up after 7 years in this creative, amazing field, but I felt like that wasn't my calling. That wasn't what I was supposed to do. So I sort of lived, eat, pray, love. And when I came back, I was scooped up by Metropolitan Home Magazine, and I was in charge of the first DIFA show house, which is Designer Industry Foundation for AIDS. So it was, if you could imagine being thrown into like the most incredible atmosphere of just people, just people.
What an opportunity. Wow.
Incredible. So that really just immersed me in design. I saw the impact on what we were able to provide for, the AIDS community. And I did that under contract for 2 years. It was just,
oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was really your jump into this.
Into
How long of design? How long were you in Japan for?
I was there for about a year and a half, but I also did sort of the preview to Eat, Pray, Love, and traveled all around India and Burma and Southeast Asia by myself. So that was really, the grand
What
tour.
a life. Yeah. A grand tour there. Wow. That's super, super neat. And so how did you land though that role when you came here? You said you just you got thrown into it. How did that happen?
Because I had, a pretty formidable corporate job for 7 years and then went to Japan. Then when I came back, I was asked to just be an assistant to this woman. Said, oh, you'll just help me, whatever. And then they let her go and put me in charge.
Wow. See, you just never know what's going to happen in life.
And it's just trial by fire. And yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Really, that was truly in the fire.
In the fire and
All
like
good
those
at the time.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. That's wow. So good for you. You're at the right place, the right time.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Meant to be. Absolutely. So design can be really, deeply personal and somewhat political, I'm sure, right? How do you see work really, your work as a form of like empowering women and community?
Well, on two levels. So there's the level of when I work with my clients, number one. Number two, it's who I surround myself with in the studio. So when I was at full throttle when I had my corporate studio, I would always hire young, generally female designers because I wanted to
Sure.
be able to give them that opportunity. So, and that was always lead by example as well. And I took that role very seriously.
I
And
bet.
then with my clients, it's interesting because a lot of them are in transition. Either they've moved, from another country or from a
Mm-hmm.
different city, or in transition in their relationships. So it's really empowering them by creating that container to fully support them in their new life and to articulate what they love. But I mean, I worked with families, with couples, but it was always the women I was serving,
Right.
and really, addressing that particular need.
Right, right. And specific by client too, because
Yeah,
everybody's different, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what does leadership look like in a creative industry? And how have you defined it for yourself over the years?
Leadership, for me, has always been about tenacity, really.
Mm.
It's
Hmm.
focus, clarity, intention, and tenacity. There's a quote I have at my desk that it's called "Leap and the net will appear."
Love
And I
it.
really try and live by that because design is so much about taking risks because you're the first one to do it. You're not sure what it's going to come out to be,
Right.
but hopefully there's some grace involved in being able to like reiterate and refine. But generally my profession, you're not allowed to make a mistake. The sofa doesn't fit. The window doesn't close.
Right.
There's no mistakes in my
Like, no room for error there, right?
no erasers, no erasers whatsoever.
But yeah, and like you were saying, to like just take the jump, take the leap. Like there's only so much planning too, right?
Yeah,
Like, y-
exactly. You have to allow, and quite frankly, sometimes that's when like the most wonderful results occur when then you can take full credit for it. Oh, yes, indeed. That was always my intention.
right, right, right. I
You know,
manifested that. I knew what I was
exactly.
doing.
Eyes closed. Just I did it. I did
That's
it.
right. Live on the edge a little bit, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So tell us about a time when you had to take a bold step or make a difficult decision as a woman in your field.
I have to say, when the bold step was deciding to do show houses myself as a designer.
Mm.
So this is a funny story. So, and it was oh, this is a great one. So, a show house in the Hamptons, Southamptons, and I had
Mm.
just begun my career.
No
And
pressure. No
yeah,
pressure
no
there.
question. Everybody, showing up in Mercedes, the whole thing.
Yep, yep, yep.
And so I said, "Oh, okay, I'd love to participate." And they said, "Well, there's a guest house, and there's a lot of different rooms." And so I said, "Okay, so which one's mine?" And they gave me the bathroom. Now, first I said, "Oh," and I came with my fabulous painter, and he looks at me and he goes, "Kim," I said, when my mother would say, when God gives you lemons, you make a
You make
lot of
them.
lemonade. So
That's right.
so you're not going to believe this. So what I did was insane. We plastered the wall. We put gold mica. It was extraordinary. I did an incredible drapery treatment with almost like a linen-y fabric, but I trimmed it with zippers. And
So how big was this bathroom?
it wasn't that big,
Okay.
but it was, stunning. And then we did all kinds of treatments and stuff. I had more people in that bathroom than the rooms down the hall. It pissed off all the other decorators. They're like, who does she think? And I got interviewed. I had a picture in a book from this one
Oh, I
bathroom.
love it. I
So
love it.
that was my lesson, to be like, be appreciative, be humble, and put your head down and do the work, girl, because that's it.
I mean, hey, those small spaces are important.
Yeah.
You know, bathrooms are important.
Everybody needs a bathroom.
I love that. So you took a situation, you're like, oh, I got the bathroom to
Yeah,
and now
exactly.
here you were like featured and yeah, it outshone like the fancy kitchens and the
Yeah,
cozy porches.
yeah, it really pissed off the other designers in the house. They're like, come in my room. And they're like, what is that zipper? Like, what's that finish? What is that mica finish on the wall? Like, it's exquisite. It was like
I
that.
love that. That is so cool. And you had like a positive outlook on it,
Yeah,
right?
no, it was amazing.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I mean, hey, you're in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
So bathrooms are important. So what inspires the feeling of, speaking of bathrooms, of like calm in spaces? Like, what do you
Uh,
feel? And is it different for everybody?
it's a little different for everybody, but I always start at the base of the five senses, because people just think about the surface of
And can
a
you go over
space.
the five sense, like the senses?
Absolutely. So the five senses are sight, how you
Mm-hmm.
view things;
Yep.
touch, the texture of things; hear, that in terms of sound, is there, like, when you walk on the floor, is there like a hush feeling to the space? Is
Mm.
the carpet really thick? Is the drapery really thick so it absorbs the
It's
sound,
absorbs.
the
Mm-hmm.
sound attenuation? The smell, in terms of aromatherapy. And then, the taste. I always laugh because I mean, everyone in my family is a chef, so there's always, whenever I do a project, there's a bowl of fruit, there's, a little,
Oh.
package of patisserie or something, but there's always some involvement with taste. And it's sensual, because calmness is a feeling of being of sensual, like you're embraced. So, and how that differs so much for so many people. Some people like a very enclosed, intimate space.
Right.
Some people say, oh, no, 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 I need expansive. I don't want a lot of fuss. I want it minimal. So, and
Or
that's their,
open and
yeah,
yeah.
that's their feeling of calm. But if you go, we all have the five senses, every one of
Mm-hmm.
us, but they're particular and they are idiosyncratic. So it's
Yeah.
identifying that for each person.
So that's interesting. Yeah. So when when you're designing and clearly you get to know the people,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Who you are and pretty well. So how does are you able to pretty much shift pretty quickly like, oh, this client's so different than this client
Oh,
and like
absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's all,
I mean after 30 years, I mean, God, you're
yeah.
such an expert at what you do.
Well, the trick is to listen. So many people don't
Mm.
listen. And I'm a very different designer in that I don't impose my aesthetic. I listen and I figure out how, like, what level of education, what level of exposure to different elements, what is their culture. I mean, that's the
Mm.
part that fascinates me, is, in working in a lot of diversity of cultures. But you have to understand too that when I have my clients, I mean, I have them for 25 years. There's nothing left
Yeah.
to do. I start doing the children, and then when the grandchildren come, it's like, time to go, Kim.
Time to go. That's awesome.
Exactly.
So with women, how do you mentor uplift women in your industry?
In my industry, by always being available.
Mm.
I just received two emails this week of, fresh out of school, here's my portfolio, like these sweet, and a lot of people will just dismiss it. No, nothing, goodbye. But I will call them up and I'll talk
So
to
you
them.
make time for them. That
Yeah,
is
I
so
have to
sweet.
make time because that's the next generation of designers. And to, and then it meant so much that I received an email this morning of like, thank you for, they were like overwhelmed that I actually called. Mind you, I didn't give them a job,
Right,
but it
right.
doesn't
But they
matter.
love,
Yeah,
yes, like a
it doesn't
mentorship.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, to give that kind of encouragement and support.
Well, I think a lot of times too, that's what people really want and need is just time. It's just your time and just to feel valued and be
Yeah.
heard. And, if you can help in a little way and giving them a little tip or whatever it may be, I'm sure they were probably like, oh my goodness, this amazing expert of more than 30 years in this field. And she's making time for me.
This
So
old this old decorator chick is making time for me.
I mean, from New York City. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So another question for you. What have been actually, speaking of when you're starting out, what have been some of the challenges that you faced as a woman building your own brand? And
There
how
were
did
a,
you overcome that?
there were a lot of challenges. I didn't really have a role model was the
Mm,
challenge. And I didn't really um, surround myself with, designers, decorators. I had more of a affinity in connecting with architects and
yeah.
also spending time with the contractors so I would learn. Because that's the thing about my industry. You always, always have to learn. And then as far as building my brand and all of that, it was really informed, I think, by my lifelong goal of meditating and pursuing a spiritual practice as I was building this
Mm-hmm.
brand. So there was that balance and sort of staying in check and not comparing. That's
Oh,
the
I love
hardest
that.
part.
Yeah.
You can't compare. And then so many people would say, oh, it's, so competitive and you didn't get this, you didn't get that. And then I would always say, it's because I am who I am and their affinity is with somebody else or some other
Right.
aesthetic. So that's the thing is I always had to stay true to the path, like true to my values, true to who I am. But it was tough. It was tough presenting to developers when I would work on large projects and I would have all of them on their phones or their you know typing as I'm standing there
Well,
pouring my heart out.
yeah, and speaking of that, and that is such great wisdom, what you just shared, is just stay true to yourself. I mean, everything's oversaturated, especially these days, right?
Oh yes.
But there's room for everybody. And if you really want to do something and you're good at it, or maybe you're still learning along the way, who cares if there's thousands others? Do it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. You, like you said earlier, you take that leap and you just don't know where you're going to land. And
Yeah,
so if you
and
really want to do it, do it.
one other little trick or little point I'd say is whenever I would be interviewed for residential projects, I would always say to the client, what number am I? And they would look at me and they said, well, am I interview number 4, number 5? Because if I'm just one and you even want to work with me, I would say, no, I would like you to interview at least 3 because it's so
Mhm.
intimate. When you're working in someone's home, there is nothing more intimate than that. And there's
Right. That's
got to
their
be that,
space.
yeah, the respect and the privacy. I mean, there's so many layers of agreements. There's so many kinds of agreements, right? When you're working with
Absolutely. And you had shared just a few minutes ago that, working with these developers, which I'm sure the majority of them
oh
are men, right?
every single
So,
one.
and, speaking of that, like probably a little intimidating as well. And, like you said, you're trying to talk to them and they're just kind of looking at their watch, looking at their phone. And it's just like, you're trying to get into into their head a little bit of like, hey, let me help. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I can
it was
imagine.
really a challenge. But see, that's where creativity came in
Yep.
because in one of my presentations, to present the color schemes, and this is where taste comes in, and
Yeah.
being Italian and always about food, I made, you know, those cake pops on the lollipop sticks.
Yep, yep.
So, so I had one made in the wood grain I was going to use and the colors. And so I brought out a tray and said, "This is my palette. This is what we're proposing." And they're like, "Can I eat that? Can I?"
Genius.
So I said, "Yes, go ahead." And they're
Sure
like,
can.
they're all sitting. It was, you know, I wish I had a photograph of these grown men with these lollipop cakes.
It's like, yeah, right. Like how the little kids like the cake pops from like Starbucks, you know? But they get
Yeah,
these grown
that's
men.
exactly yeah, that's where the inspiration came. I was at Starbucks. I said, "Wow, I wonder if I could like do a wood grain or make that one the color of the paint or do."
Well,
And that's
that's wild that you're saying that, because my next question was for how do you blend like creativity with business, and it sounds like it's really per client, per
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's case
absolutely.
by case.
Yeah. And then also that was the same group that I had to present. I had this crazy idea. They wanted a tween place for them to do homework. So I don't know where this came up, but I thought, well, you know, why don't it make it feel like they're inside a pool? So I'll have people swimming over their heads. So we did, and they said yes. I couldn't believe it. And so the floor was like water tile. Then the mural was like you were inside a pool. And then we had this wonderful fine art painter paint the bottom side of people's bodies swimming.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating. I'm totally like imagining myself being in that room.
Yeah, and then it was, no lifeguard on duty, but I was very clever because I had one of the developers' children's portraits painted as one of the swimmers
Oh,
above.
there.
So,
See, you
so
are
you,
like a marketer person as well, like a
you have
marketing
to be a
expert.
ninja. You have to,
Yes. So
yeah.
many different skills. Yeah. So again, getting to know your people, and then wow, that's impressive.
It was
You definitely are you're impressive.
Yeah, I'm not your. What do who they used to say? You're not your standard Chiquita. You're not a standard Chiquita.
There you
That's
go.
what they would say. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what role actually does intuition play in your leadership and creativity and your decision making?
Oh God, I'd say like 100%.
I was going to say, just by listening to you, it's
Yeah,
like
I don't.
everything.
Yeah, everything is pretty. It is pretty intuitive. And if I'm acting out of fear, it never works. If I'm acting out of insecurity, it doesn't go well.
Yeah,
If I just, just trust, like
right.
I said, this. I mean, I should get a tattoo.
I mean, I think you should. I love it. So, as you know, the podcast is She Decides, and it's really based off of empowering women and just giving them a place to just feel, just like they can do whatever they want to do. You put your mind to it, you can do it. And um, so, what does how do you phrase that? How does that phrase for you? What does it mean in context of like your own life and work?
I think She Decides is really about taking responsibility for yourself, not
Mm.
blaming anybody, not expecting. For me, it's about empowerment and having the agency to make those decisions and proceed, and
Mm.
not to worry or stress. Easy for me to say. I mean, yeah, let's do a flashback, Kim Depole, of that Diffa show house, like one afternoon in that house as the air traffic controller. Let's just try and remember that.
Well, I mean, think
So,
about that though. Like that far, there was like not the no social media. We didn't
yeah,
have the technology that we have today. So different. So different.
very, very, very different. Very
I
different.
mean, yeah, and then for you to really grow up, if you will, like with all of this social media and the technology that we have. And like you think of design, I mean, look at all the apps that we have out now, right, on our phones, and just
Yeah.
ideas that you can kind of, you see something, you're like, oh, I like that. But like with you, it all just comes naturally to you. Like before we had all of, before we had what we have
Well,
today.
see, that's the thing too. I mean, at this stage in my life, I want to give back. I want to leave the legacy. And so, like, what does that look like to me? That looks like empowerment through teaching people how to be mindful and how
Mm,
to make really intentional choices to support them, to support the environment, sustainability. So for me, it's really, and it's also moving away from technology. I mean, I ask so many people, how often do you ever sit in silence without the phone, without the TV, without the
scrolling
radio?
through your, yeah.
Scroll, scroll, scroll. And I'm guilty of it as well. But it's just, we lose our creativity. If you are inundated with blue light and all of that technology, you don't have space to just dream and be creative.
That is
So
so
I'm
true.
like the creativity advocate. I'm the mindfulness daydreaming diva. I don't know. I need a new name, but
No, I
that's
think that's perfect. It's like unplugging from technology, unplugging from the AI, right? Use
yes.
your own voice and, yeah, be creative. And yeah, because, you wake up, you grab your phone. I'm talking most people right in the world these days. And it's just like your mind's already bogged down with everything you're seeing within the first, as soon as you grab your phone, right? It's
Yeah.
just, so with what you are so good at, clearly, is just your own personal creativity and just unplugging from the world, and it just, like, let it kind of just, it's like
Yeah.
relaxing. It's
And
almost like said
access.
meditating.
Yeah, access your own inner universe there. Everybody has that self-expression. It doesn't need to be imposed on you with a style and scrolling and saying, "Oh, that's what I want." Well, maybe it's not. Maybe there's something even better that comes from you that could be expressive. So for me, that's, I think it's all because my beginnings were as an artist, and it's every facet of it. It's that
Right,
artful way of seeing the world and living.
right, and keeping in check of that, right? And it just,
Yeah,
it's who
absolutely.
you are, right? So let's talk about a little of your, you've had some pretty cool guest appearances. You on Oprah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
share
was
more
out
about
of
that. How
that was another one of those, fortuitous, miraculous things of I
how did
was
that
doing
happen?
Well, I was doing a lot of TV projects on Lifetime TV. This is before the big HG, big, all of that stuff. And so I would, like, go on these trips like, okay, Kim, we're sending you to New Jersey. The woman has 6 children. You have 2 hours to redo the entire ground floor, those kind of things, which I love to do. That's like my
Yeah,
favorite.
totally impromptu. Like,
Yeah, I
okay,
love, like,
go
just
do it.
pull
Yep.
me in. So, and then fast forward after a couple of different episodes, one of the producers called me up and said, Kim, I moved to Chicago. I'm producing on Oprah. Can you drop everything and the day after tomorrow go to blah blah blah, this house, and here's the address, and the film crew will be there. So yeah, like, I hesitated for 1 second. So I did that, and they made it look like, you're talking to Oprah, and they sent the husband and wife to Chicago, and I was like, oh, I missed my chance. But then they called me again, and they flew. I went with my painter and my assistant to Chicago for a week, and we filmed 2 episodes. It was insane. Not sleeping for like
I
3 days, and then on the last day you get to meet your idol. I was like hallucinating. I was so excited.
Oh my gosh, that's so
So
cool.
then
Did you?
I got to, like, sit right next to her. It was just extraordinary. And they were so lovely. They said, oh, Kim, you did such a great job. We're going to have you stay longer. Here's the limousine. You could go anywhere. And, it was like Uh, when you
You're like,
can't
this is like a dream.
yeah, like it's like you pinching me. So
Yeah, it doesn't like it
yeah.
doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, it didn't get it. It doesn't. It really doesn't get better than that. No.
So what all did you design? What did you do for
Well,
that
the
opportunity?
first episode, the first episode, I just did a dining room, and so I had this idea of taking all her family portraits and printing them in sepia, and then we did we painted, we did the dining room. But the one in Chicago, bring me to someone's apartment. Here's the bedroom. And then, okay, design a headboard. Here's the carpenter. Here's my painter was there, thank God. And and so they filmed all these little snippets and episodes, and then it's like, okay, Kim, let's go to the next apartment. So then you go to another apartment and you do, because it was Decorating Dilemmas was
Oh,
the
okay.
title of it. Yeah.
Decorating dilemmas. Okay.
Decorating Dilemmas. But what Oprah used to do is after this segment, they would shoot another video with myself, and there was, I think, a British woman that does wallpaper or something like that. And so I'm sitting right next to Oprah, and the audience is asking questions, and I'm trying so hard not to.
And
I
you're
could
trying to focus on these
Oh
questions
my
and
God. And
look
the
like the expert that
producer,
you are.
oh my God, the producer says to you, Kim, this is the prep. There is no prep. I have no idea what she's going to say to you. And then I just
That's
died.
awesome. I'm sure you did wonderful though. Like you
No,
clearly have that beaming
I was like a
personality.
deer in the, no, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was traumatized.
Who was her designer? What was his name? Remember
Oh
she
no,
always Nate
Nate
Berkus?
Berkus. Yeah. So then right
Yeah.
after that, she just scooped up Nate Berkus, and yeah, he became the only decorator superstar. So
You're like, hey, that's all right. I had
that's
my
okay. My I
I had
had
that
my trip.
experience.
Yeah. Hey, I had my trip to Chicago riding in limos. It was great.
You were living the life for a couple days, right?
Yeah. For 1 week, I lived a big life.
I love it. That is so cool. So, what do you envision moving forward? Like with your life and your company and like you said you want to leave this amazing legacy behind. Like what would you like to leave the podcast? What would you like to leave us knowing? What's the future for Kim Depole?
The future for me is to serve and teach mindful design. To share the 7 facets that I've developed. It's a methodology, and it's really to teach. It's to share. It's to problem solve. It's to answer questions. So I'm on Substack, and I'm just launching this newsletter. It's
You have
actually
an
called
ebook as well, right?
well, yeah, a few. I'm working on the big one. It's called Letters from the Heart. And so
Oh,
it's lots of different layers of things, but teaching that is my platform. If I can teach people that, they need a home to fully support how they live, work, and restore. And then a portion of the proceeds will go to Habitat for Humanity, because I believe everybody deserves a home. So for me, that's coming full circle in my service, in my
that is
devotion.
wonderful, and that is definitely leaving an amazing legacy. Wow, that's beautiful. I love it. So thank you again for sharing your time with us today. And I have some fun now questions I want to ask you.
Oh, yes, let's go.
Yes, some rapid fire questions. I love to end our podcast with these. Yeah, these are fun. Are we ready?
Wait, let me take a sip of water.
Okay, yeah, let's prep up for these.
Let me ring the bell.
There we go. We got the bell.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Number one. What is your favorite color to design with? If you had one color.
Red.
Red. Ooh, I like that power color. All right. Number two. Sunrise or sunset?
Oh, that's tough.
I know. I know.
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Lots to do. Got to get up early.
Yep. Yep. And there's some beautiful sunrises. Third one. You had one woman, living or past, who would you choose that you would love to collaborate with?
Oh my God.
I know. It makes you
I think
think.
right away I would say Eileen Gray, who was an Irish designer at the turn of the century and was so ahead of her time and was very influenced by Japanese design as I am. So I think she would just be a fascinating person to collaborate with.
Did you learn more about her when you were actually in Japan?
No, no, I learned
No.
about her in design school and then
Okay.
working for architects. And I kind of went in search of her early origins when I was there,
Okay.
but I didn't really find them. Yeah.
Okay. So you knew even before you went there. All right. Well, that was a great answer. I love the history on that one. Fourth question, a design trend you wish would come back.
Ooh. Huh.
See, I'm thinking clothes, and I know that's the only thing I would know, but
Yeah,
design, yeah.
design trend. Well, it's not so much a trend, it's like a way of thinking. But mid-century modern furniture is all about the functionality and adaptability. And
Mm,
so I think that a lot of furniture with that idea, so it does more than one thing and it doesn't look like it does, it's elegantly designed.
mm.
But that type of thinking, that's because most people think of that only for, IKEA, cheapy kind of furniture.
Right, right.
The first idea,
But it could be elegant.
it could be elegant, and that to me would be a lovely and a sustainable trend. Think about it. You
Yeah.
don't need five pieces of furniture, you have just one.
Now you just have one. There you go. There you go. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Fifth one. What is your dream travel destination for inspiration?
Oh God, I travel a lot. I spent a month in India, so my reservoir is quite full. But I have one continent I have never ventured to is Africa. I
Oh,
would
really?
love to go to Senegal. I'd love to go to, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to travel there now, especially. I'm pretty well traveled, but I
Yeah.
have not been to Africa, and I
Oh, well,
would
you
love.
definitely have to, yeah, add that to your bucket list. Can you imagine the inspiration that you
Oh
could
yeah,
gather
absolutely.
there? Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be pretty incredible. You'd come back with all kinds of new
Yeah.
decorating ideas. All right, two more. This is an easy one. What is your most used app on your phone?
Calm.
Oh, you're like the third person that has
Oh, I
shared
love
that.
that
The
app.
calming app. It is, yes, yes.
Really, I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep. So then I flag, and then, okay, listen to this. And within 4 minutes, you'll be back to sleep. And I was.
And it worked.
Yeah, I
Success.
love Calm. It's brilliant. Wish I
Yes.
thought of it. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
I wish I thought of it too.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, oh, this is cute. What's one word that describes how you feel when you're creating?
Joyous.
You're in
Joyous.
your, yeah,
Just joyous. Yeah.
you're in your joy. Like that's just your happy
Yeah.
place.
Happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I
happy
love
place.
it.
Absolutely.
Well, amazing. You passed.
Wait, where's the
Yay.
bell?
Where's the bell?
I got to send you a bell, Stace. That's it.
Yes, yes, I need a bell. I
I'm
want a
sending
bell.
you a pink bell.
Oh, I love it. Pink is
A
like my
pink
favorite.
enameled bell. Pink and white. I
Yes.
know exactly where I'm going to get it.
I will set it right on my desk and it will
Okay.
stay there. Love it. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. I
Thank
love it.
you.
Love it. So, as we're heading out, what is what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? And are you still like actively, I know you do a lot of teaching and all of that mentoring, but do you still actively take clients?
I usually just take like big residential projects, like one
Mm-hmm.
a year, because that's all I've
Yeah.
really scaled it down. But best way to reach me is my website, which is just Depole Design, easy to find.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's the quickest way. There's also a platform called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, but I stopped drinking coffee, so I feel a little weird saying that. I was a double espresso girl for years. I mean, even this is like, but first coffee,
Oh
because
my God.
you know,
Why'd you stop drinking coffee?
well, just because, yeah, I don't know, for a lot of reasons of like
Yeah.
not being able to sleep
Okay.
and just being addicted to. I hate being so addicted to something.
Like
Like I can't
dependent on it. Yeah.
function unless I have it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, and that's the platform where I introduce the room scan, and I'll be loading up a couple of ebooks and stuff. So that's another, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, definitely your ebooks. I mean, that's going to be so helpful too. Again, like you said, you want to teach and just help, and that anyway anybody can get their fingers on
Oh
you
yeah,
and
whatever. Yeah, in whatever way I can help, I would love that because I it's to serve for me. It's service. So yeah,
that's beautiful.
joyous service.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you again. This has been so much fun.
It really has, and that pink bell's on its way, lady.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to hold you to it.
I know. I keep my promises.
All righty. Well, thank you so much.